Hello and welcome to stage 2 of the Tour de Boudicca. I cannot wait for the racing to happen. This racing is going to be brought to you by me, Emma Martin.
And I'm Gillian Howland.
So it is great fun to be with Gillian again. Gillian and I were here last night for what was the individual competition. We saw that up and underway with 3 short races. Tonight, it is the turn of the teams, and that competition is really going to get the fire under its wheels because we are going to be heading to Glasgow. So over the 3 stages of the Tour de Boudicca, we have had 3, or we will have 3 very different days. So yesterday, stage 1, we saw those 3 short races and they came in quick succession for our riders. The combined time of those 3 races is what has given us our overall leaderboard on the Tour of Boudicca across all 4 of those race categories. Tonight we head to the Glasgow Crit Circuit, and Gillian's going to give us a little bit more information about that shortly. Tomorrow, the Queen Stage, Legends and Lavas. Well, that is definitely a stage for the climbers. Tonight, well, I was going to say it's going to be about our power athletes, but there's going to be a lot of endurance in there because it's 10 laps of that Glasgow Crit Circuit course. Well, let's catch up with the standings overnight from stage 1 first. Cat A, well, it was Holdcroft from Hansen, Guerra, Collins, Columbi, Itkin, Russell, May, Tidholm and Harper, but it is close at the top. Taking a look at that, it's 17 seconds separating the top 4 riders in that competition. Now, the Category A race yesterday did see some big time gaps actually and some really interesting racing, and I'm sure we will talk about that shortly. Cat B, though, it's a lot closer in Category B. 6 seconds just separating the top 6 riders. Lagros, Neelan, Cuthbertson, Strasser, Oliver Ernst, all in that top 6 and within 6 seconds of each other. In fact, 10 seconds separate the top 14 riders in Category B. In Category C, well, it's even tighter than that. 10 seconds separating the top 18 riders. So this individual competition is absolutely anybody's. Overmo from the Aeonian squad leading up Category C from Porter, Weidner, Brown, Olsen, Rennie, Spencer, East, Valentino and White. Category D, well, the top 10 there. 12 seconds separating the top 6 riders. Taylor taking the top spot there from Walker, from Orm, from Sarah, from Holtman, from Burton, from Ollendorf, from De Boer, Moland and Michelle F in that Category D race. Phenomenal racing yesterday. And our Queen Bee jerseys being awarded to the overall leaders of those individual categories. So you will see those Queen Bee jerseys in the pelotons tonight in Category A, B, C and D. It's our current standing leaders who will be wearing those jerseys. It was brilliant, the racing last night, Gillian. I say last night, it's last night for me here in Yorkshire. It's not last night here for you. It was middle of the afternoon where you are. But what was your favourite part of the racing yesterday?
I had to say that the hill climb was probably some of the more exciting racing for the afternoon for me, evening for those over in Europe. I loved seeing Holdcroft from the Next powered by Onshore team really set the pace and take the reins at the beginning of that hill climb, only to see Hansen from the Aeonian squad take over after that switchback. And by the time she crossed over that finish line, she had almost a 3-second lead, which might not seem a lot for stage racing. But you also have to think that that was only one race out of 2 additional races that were being held throughout the day. We watched Walker down in the category D's from the ESRT squad. She really set the pace for the D's on the hill climb as well. And we saw some impressive patience from Stairs of the Galaxy squad. She kind of was just able to apply some pressure. before she ultimately took over the lead for the D squad. It does not go without mentioning Taylor, also from Level, also made a very impressive move into second place, which brought her time gap down to about 2.5 seconds. And this is just going from the first race of that hill climb. Pretty much every finish we saw in race 2 of stage 1 was a sprint finish. But moving on into category A for the Innsbruck Ring, the third and final race of stage 1, we saw Holcroft just pull a candle, not even a match. She pulled a candle out of her back pocket, and she took a 13-second lead away from the entire category A. Really some impressive riding from Holcroft yesterday. We had a very exciting sprint finish from the B category, and there wasn't even half a second between the top 3 riders, which was Sjorgen, Robson, and Vason. Sprint finish in the C's as well from Porter, Overmo, and Crush Pod, and then the D's. It was also, a pretty close finish with all of those ladies between Rogan and Holtman and Taylor. It was really impressive to see how just the strength coming from each of the categories, even though the strengths are going to be quite different between, from the A's down to the D's. Just a very exciting day because it wasn't just one race. It was 3 completely different races.
It was just fantastic, wasn't it? And those times across those 3 races, I know you talk about seconds, but the Tour de France has been won by 8 seconds alone. And those seconds continue to count today and tomorrow in that individual competition, because the times of those individual riders will continue to be added to their previous day's times to form that individual competition. But the teams competition starts today, and that is all about points. They are going to be earning points on that Glasgow crit course. Let's take a look at it, Gillian.
This is the course that I have dubbed the race of attrition. It is it's gonna be a wattage cottage out there. It's 10 laps of a 3-kilometer course. There is a 0.2 kilometer lead-in, which kind of drops our riders right into the middle of one of the segments on course, the Clyde Kicker. You can kind of see over on the right hand side of this course diagram, there's a road that leads in, and the riders are going to be taking a left, so kind of down on this diagram, and it's right into the steepest part of one of the segments on course. That part of the segment does not count, but they still have a fast and furious Zwift start up to it before we really get into the technicality of the course. It's a 14-turn crit course with a chicane. You can see that little bubble right in the middle of the crit course, kind of as the riders are approaching that sprint line, or just before, and that denotes the champion sprint. This is going to shock some legs. So a meticulous warm-up gonna be essential.
Yes.
As the riders exit the beginning of that Clyde Kicker, they're gonna make turn 1 immediately into turn 2, following it into turn 3, and then until we reach turn 4 down on the bottom of this diagram, it's gonna get a little bit wrinkly. And then they have a little bit of a break. They round that turn 5. And it's immediately into the chicane, which can kind of break apart the groups, and then it's a little bit of a kick before they round the final the turn 2, that champion sprint, and then it's a swooping corner, and the majority of that back half of the course is going to be flat, but they only have about 1,300 meters to get some rest in before the base of that Clyde Kicker.
Well, with 10 laps tonight, nobody can do 20 continual efforts. So there are going to be some tactics at play and some team tactics at play, because each of those Clyde kickers, each of those championship sprints takes points. And you can see that in a little bit more detail here. So this is the Clyde kicker. It is 300 meters. It comes at 1.1 kilometers into the course, an average gradient of 3.6%. But you can see very clearly there it is a stepped climb with a flat section in the middle. So that second part of the climb is a lot steeper than 3%. I can tell you that, having raced this course in ZRL. I have to say, I love this course. It is fast, it's furious. That's the Clyde kicker. The riders then move around the second part of the Glasgow course into the champion sprint. This is a 200-meter sprint, and it comes directly after that left-hand corner. You come round the corner and you go into this sprint. It is slightly downhill, so the momentum the riders get on the transition into this, getting that pace high, is going to be absolutely crucial. Now, I'm just going to take a double check down on my sheet here, because I am confirming the points that are available. So first place, these points work for the Clyde kicker and the champion sprint. So first place across the line, 25 points, then 18, then 15, then 12, then 10, then 8, then 6, then 4, then 2, then 1. So the top 10 riders through having points on the champion sprint, the top 10 riders on the Clyde also having points. Gillian, we've got fastest through the segment and first across the line. Tell us a little bit about the difference.
Fastest through means, it almost speaks for itself, but we like to call them FTS points for short. So fastest through, meaning that it is not the first rider who crosses the line, but it is going to be the individual with the fastest time through the segment. So that means some of those smart riders who are able to use that tumbleweed or that snowball effect to really slingshot themselves through the group and over and use the draft to their advantage. Those are going to be the riders who are going to take fastest time through this segment. Moving to the champion sprint, those are going to be first across the line points, or FAL points for short, meaning that it is the first riders who cross that sprint finish banner who will collect the highest number of points on that lap. There are also bonus points for the finishing sprint, so the riders will need to be smart about saving some of their matches until the end. Although I did hear recently, someone told me that matches are entirely in your head.
Well, whether matches are in your head or not, this is the countdown to the race. Just very quickly, a reminder of the teams and their jerseys before we go down to that start line. So those are the teams. They are on the start line. They are warming up and ready to go. The A riders will be the first ones out the pen, followed a minute later by the B category, a minute later by the C category, and then finally the D category riders will be away. So the A category riders are up and out of the start pen. They are on course and it is fast and furious. You can see that sprint line. That sprint line is the first sprint of the day. Up and out of the pen and on to the course. The riders, what a stretch, and it is Holcroft from next, powered by Insured. She's got Hansen on a wheel. It was Holcroft and Hansen yesterday. It's Hansen and Holcroft today as Hansen comes to the front. She wants this sprinted. Home is there. So is Guerra. Bell goes through the top. Burbell from Team Castelli right up at the front there. As this group continue to stretch, they sweep round the line. This group looks as though it is splitting now, and they have just done 400 meters of the course. Wow. Here we are up and we are running, and the riders in the overall from yesterday: Maria Holcroft, next powered by Insured, Celia Hansen from Aeonian, Guerra from Riot, all in the mix here. As we jump back in with the B category, They are up and out the start pen, and it is a fast and furious start from them as well. And it's Flores who is the rider out the front from WLC. In fact, her teammate Furness, that has got to be team tactics, with Frederick from Coalition. These three riders now clear from that group and absolutely pulling them through. Frederick wants this from the riders. So Furness, Frederick, the two riders through. Cuthbertson is there as well as Lagros from Electric Spirit. Electric Spirit, that she is the rider there, pushing on and pushing through, because that is the rider who is wearing the Queen Bee jersey. She is the leader of the competition at the moment in the B category, Cara Lagros, and she has been up and there taking points in that first sprint. So Category C are also up and on the course, and it's a fast sprint from them as well. Porter is the rider with the action at the moment, so Porter moving through. She's got company though from Evans from Aeonian. Wunro is there, Mugelli is there as well, so is Chelsea, so is Reinhold, but it is Wunro who from Revo who has gone through that to pick up maximum points in the C category. Phenomenal starts from these riders today. So the look at the spread on that group, that is the C category going around the corner there, and you can see it on the top right hand corner of the screen, the long snaking line of blue indicating the length of the stretch on that group. Now the D category, the last category to start this race, are up and on the course and heading towards that green sprint banner. It's just north there from WCC who are pushing on. Kim from Herd is in there as well. So are the Rave riders. Anne Gray from Galaxy. Taylor from Level there too. Pushing on. In fact, Taylor now slingshotting her way through and over the top of the riders in the category. She's wearing that Queen Bee jersey, and boy does she want the maximum number of sprints, and she points there. She's going to take them. I think the first rider through from Category D is going to be our Queen Bee, Natalie Taylor from Level Esports. So the Category D pack settling down now after that first sprint. They are fast and furious. This is now the A category. And what we are going to see here is this is the ascent of the Clyde kicker. They've been up and they've been over. They are continuing to move. They're going to come underneath the tunnel here. This is continuing at a really high pace. So Russell is in here. Aitken is in here. Penaguera, Waterfield is in here, as well as Smith and Hansen. And we can see them now coming into this section. This was and is the champion sprint as they continue to move through. Now this is for the second time, so as we continue to move these riders pushing through, Hansen is the rider right on the front again. So with 3.3 kilometres now complete, they have done one full lap of this course. That is 2 sprints and 1 Clyde kicker. So that is a phenomenal amount of points already. Gillian, is this working out how you thought it would do? These riders from the individual competition in all of these categories seeming to want to come out of the start pens fast and furious really early and pick up those early points.
I think it's crucial to try and get as many points as you can if you're in the lead, coming into the lead from yesterday, because you're fatigued, you're coming in fresh from your warm up, and you know that fast is going to be really that start is going to be really fast. And so if you can maximize the amount of energy that you have at the beginning of the race and really put forth some of those bigger efforts, then you're kind of sealing in some of those team GC points, which can secure your lead in the individual GC.
Going through here as we
Riders are going to round this corner, and they've already begun the Clyde kicker, and it's relatively flat right here. You're going to see a lot of racers really put forth their biggest effort right as the crosswalk starts, because this is the steepest portion of that kicker, and they have to carry all of that momentum up the course. And then even as it flattens out, your climb's not finished until you are through that banner.
Well, it is no surprise to me to see Selena Colombi from Team Castelli, powered by Elite, come up and through the Clyde kicker there in first place. She's a phenomenal climber, and she shows us that time and time again. So Colombi picking up maximum points that time through the Clyde kicker as Aitken pushes on. She doesn't seem to want to be back in the pack. She wants to be pushing there. We just see that shot of Selena Colombi there working hard, because there's no rest on this course. We've got the 2 segments, but it is rolling in between. And starting to look at team tactics, Gillian, are we going to see the same riders just continue to try and pick up as many points as possible, or are those team tactics going to come into play?
I think as the race progresses, we're going to see a little bit more team tactics come into play as some of those lead riders start to fatigue a little bit. They might begin to start relying on their teammates to keep the pack slow while they go off the front and take some points, whether it's FAL points or allowing getting some FTS points by allowing themselves to go through the pack while their teammates kind of idle high. If you think about it, it's easier for an engine, whether it's a human-powered engine or maybe an automobile. It's easier to go from high rev to from a high idle than it is to go from a low idle to a high rev. And so if your teammates are willing to put forth most of their energy to keep that idle of the pack high, then it's going to be easier for you to come over the top of those racers, because you're already moving at such a fast speed.
Well, talking about moving at such a fast speed, this is the leading pack in the A category race. 47 riders in this race, but this is not 47 riders in this lead group. They have already split the bunch as the sprint comes back on. Augustin from ESRT is the rider being overtaken by Holcroft. It's our Queen Bee. She's at it again. Up and over and through. Our Electric Spirit riders are in there too. Aitken, Hansen, Real are all in this bunch, but Guerra was up the front there as well, and that was Gilbert, I think. Eilish Gilbert from Electric Spirit, she's tucked into the front of this bunch. Collins is there as well from WLC, as well as Pearl. These riders now all bunching back together, and for me, Gillian, this is now the moment to try and sit in that bunch, get that draft and take that breath, isn't it? Bring that heart rate back down for that next effort.
I agree. They only have about, and it's not even 1.5 kilometers from the time that sprint finishes to the time they have to be putting forth another big effort for that Clyde kicker. So it's really going to be sitting in, fueling, getting hydration in, sitting up on your trainer, getting that fan in your face so that you can get as much of that cooling effect before you have to start ramping up again.
Yeah, well,
I would also be surprised if the race doesn't start to kind of cool down as a whole, because they're only 7.2 kilometers in of a over 30 kilometer race. I think as the race progresses, we're going to start seeing some of the secondary riders, tertiary riders start putting in their big efforts, because they've been able to hang in while the Queen Bees and their second place and the third place riders are kind of taking on the show.
Well, taking on the show at the moment is Columbia again, pushing on the Clyde kicker. She's going to pick up maximum points again. Anna Russell in too, but Tidholm and Real and Leonie May are there, as well as Smith and Hansen, Collins and Harper. These riders really wanting to pack the front there and pick up points, because it is just the top 10 each lap. Fastest through the segment on the Clyde Kicker, picking up points for their team. It's first across the line in the champion sprint, picking up points, and we can see now we've just picked up the category B riders. They are not that far behind, 7.2 kilometres of this 30.2 kilometre course. Now, Gillian, you cannot go. Well, I'm going to say you cannot go, but I know my head tells me I cannot go in a race, but I always keep trying. You cannot go for every single segment in this race.
That is never a truer statement said. I guess to reiterate, so you could theoretically, technically, however, you only there's kind of a finite amount of unless your training is really stellar, and you're on your way to the world tour level, there's only so much energy that a racer can put forth during a race. And so not only is it about having really good endurance out here, but it's also being really smart about when you're going to make your moves. We do have some power-ups that we're able to use today. I know yesterday we did not have any power-ups on course, but today, depending on which of the power-ups, we've got an arrow helmet, we've got the feather, and then we have a ghost. Depending on which one you have at a given point in the course, you could really utilize that to kind of sneak in and steal some points without putting forth, too much energy.
That's true, isn't it? And particularly on the Clyde Kicker, it's fastest through the segment. Now, you're not likely, though you could be, you're not likely to be fastest through the segment if you are the rider off the front, because surely the draft has got to play a part in that fastest time.
The draft is going to help as the riders enter the segment, because that beginning portion, the first half of the Clyde Kicker, only gets up to about 4%. It might max out at 5%, but it's very, very brief. And the Zwift, the game lets you have draft until about 7%. And the speeds of the pack are going to be fast enough that a draft is still going to be achievable going into that Clyde Kicker. So a draft, if you were to go off the front, I would definitely suggest that you have an arrow helmet going in to the base of that Clyde Kicker. However, an arrow helmet is going to be much more beneficial on a segment like the Bees are currently going through, this champion sprint, because you're already putting forth a huge effort, and if you can decrease your aerodynamics or increase your aerodynamics for 15 seconds while the power up lasts, that's enough to move you from middle of the pack or even front of the pack off the front of the pack and take those FAL points.
Well, I'll tell you something, Laura Furness from Wahoo Cole just came through that B category pack on the champion sprint with the fire under her wheels from those fire socks, and boy was the power going down, because she moved through that pack right from mid-pack through to the very front. Now, that champion sprint is first across the line, so she will have picked up some points, but other riders in the mix as well. This is the leading group, 74 riders in this category race today, and you can see on the top right hand corner of your screen this leading group. Not all of those 74 riders in it, but it's Maudsley who is pushing on at the moment, trying to go clear. This is a really interesting move. Garrett is the rider on the front of the pack, but it is Maudsley who is pushing on here. Now we're taking a little bit of a look down at yesterday's results. I'm trying to find Maudsley in terms of where she finished yesterday. yesterday. She's not in the top 40, but this is a massive, and I mean massive category B. 80 riders in total in Category B took to the start sheets yesterday, 74 today. And Maudsley from the ESRT team, she's coming in to the Clyde Kicker. She is on this section at the moment, and she's got 1 second, but it's Neelan from Wahoo Lacole who's come up and over the top. Now, let's remember, this is fastest through the segment, and Neelan is on a push here. 7.2 watts per kilo. She is absolutely motoring, and Ernst from Crush Pod is giving it large behind. In fact, a number of the Crush Pod riders, I can see Ernst, I can see Graham, and I can see Strausser. That is the team of three. That is a team of three picking up points, and a team of three working that team competition phenomenally well on that time through the Clyde Kicker. These B riders, they know what they're doing, and these teams are absolutely putting it together. It takes skill to win a battle. It takes brains to win a war. Well, the Crush Pod team are winning at the moment. They are on an absolute roll.
That was a beautiful example of how a rider could use the drafting ability of the group to send themselves through and up over the top of that Clyde Kicker.
Yeah, what I'm loving is the fact that we on our screen, Carly Graham, Caroline Strausser, Joanne Ernst, they are on our screen at the moment. Their teammates there as well, Coyers and McLean. Really strong set of riders in that B competition. So it's the turn of our C category riders. At the moment, they are 10.2 kilometres into this 30.2 kilometre race, 15 minutes of racing under their belts. And it is a big group. The C category is our largest category on the Tour de Boudicca. 117 riders on the start line and in this race today as they're coming up the Clyde Kicker. Again, I keep saying again because it is again and again and again, 10 times up the Clyde Kicker, 11 times into that final sprint. Phenomenal number of segments, and it's Hasty from Synergy on the front of the group. Rogers from Galaxy is in there as well. So is Howell. Hurd are in there too. They are right in the mix, but Profumo is there as well. The Betty squad are up too, but it is Kippen from Level who is pushing on going through there. Profumo from Team Italy as well. The coalition rider Jackson is the rider taking it over the other side, and down the other side of the Clyde Kicker, the stretch on the group is huge at the moment. That top right hand corner of your screen giving you the gradient and the satellite navigation image, really showing you the pull on that group and the stretch there for these riders as the riders push on and start now to come back together after that challenging effort through the Clyde sprint.
Something to notice about this course is the number of turns. So the Zwifting algorithm does not allow drafting through turns. So it could be advantageous for riders to utilize these turns as a means of moving through the pack, because that draft is interrupted, and any sort of stickiness that you might have from being behind a rider, it's going to go away as riders make that turn. So it's really easy to move through the pack in a course like this. It also means it can be a little tricky to maintain your position, but as long as you're riding smart and you are making sure your efforts are matching the riders around you, you're going to be able to maintain that position within the group.
Talking about maintaining position, this C category race here about to swing around these two left-hand corners and back into the Champions Sprint. Now, the pack continues to become smaller as riders cannot stay on the back of the leading group. Whilst that is an issue for the Champions Sprint because it is first through the line that gives the points in this race, for the Clyde Kicker, where it is fastest through the segment, is that as important that you are in the leading group, Gillian?
Not necessarily. That's one of the I guess, the nice things about having fastest through points available. If you ended up in a chase group, say you're 30 seconds to a minute off the front of the group, but you're in a very comfortable racing zone, so you're not overexerting yourself. You're almost getting little moments of rest in whatever group you're with, but you're still getting draft. That means that you're not exerting as much energy just trying to stay with the group. You're able to put all of your energy into that Clyde kicker segment, which could ultimately get you some points.
This is a high heart rate race, and we've got Karen van der Rat on screen at the moment. Her heart rate there was around 175. This is because of these continual efforts. Whilst you can drop your heart rate between them, you are going to keep quite a high average. But in this C race, we've just gone through that champion sprint, and it was Emma Porter picking up maximum points there. Porter, second position overnight. She took 2 wins yesterday, and is in second place, 28 minutes 22, her combined time across those 3 races yesterday. She's absolutely adamant she wants the points for her team today, but this in front of us now is the D race. Overnight it was Taylor from Walker, from Orme, from Sarah from Coalition, Holtman and Burton, Oldendorf, De Board, Molen and Michelle F from Evolution were the top 10 overnight. Walker is there. Mari Walker from the ESRT team is up and running. She's got a teammate Nordquist with her. Hildsen from the AEO squad are there. Is further up the road. In fact, that is a rider who is a lap behind. As we continue to see now, taking a look at that is the ESRT D squad women, Nordquist and Mari Walker. Those are the 2 riders right at the front of this D pack at the moment. Their teammates on the screen as well. This group really stretching, and in fact that top right hand corner satellite navigation screen really shows you that this D category race is split to pieces. 7, 8, 9, 8 riders currently, 8 riders looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 riders. I need to count better. 10 riders in this leading group in this category D race. Now for the champion sprint, when the groups come down to this size, Gillian, they are just about to swing round this corner now and see this champion sprint. This is first across the line, and there are points to 10th place. So everybody in this group, because this leading group is 10 riders, are going to score points. Is that going to influence their tactics?
I almost wanted to say it was going to, in the sense that most of them could think about sitting up and taking a break. However, it looked like we did see a little bit more action than I was predicting, because riders are still, even though they're going to get, 1 point, even, coming into 10th place. If they came into this race really aware of their team standings, and they're in a group that small, they know that, in order to get those 25 points for first place, they don't really have to put in a huge effort. They just have to be faster than 9 other people, or they even, second place still gets 18 points. So they can, if they're really good at doing some math in their head and knowing just how hard they have to work and not going over it, they're not going to end up having to work as hard, because they only have to be faster than a very finite number of people.
Well, they do indeed, and with 10 riders in this leading group and still a significant way to go, if this group of 10 can stay clear, they are currently 24 seconds clear of Taylor from level. That is the chase rider in no man's land at the moment. Holtman then from the herd squad leading the pack, the chase pack at the moment, but they are now 40 seconds back. So if this group of 10 can now stay clear, they are going to sweep up the points every time through the champion sprint. No one else is going going to pick up any points through that. We're just dropping in now with the riders. You can see the work going on. You can see the effort there. You can see the help in the studios, in their own pain caves. They've got companions with them, and look at the focus you can see there from our riders. This is continual effort after continual effort as they continue to race. Oh, and up they go again. The effort is on in that. No, go on, Gillian.
I love seeing the effort, not only from the rider, but their support crew. It takes a village, and it takes your teammates to really win a race sometimes.
Yeah, and that was indeed the riders going through that sprint in the A category. Guerra now pushing on, and Guerra is now off front. So Gabby Guerra now off the front for the Riot Squad in that category A race. Penner and Aitken, Collins, Real, Pearl, Smith, Tidholm all in the chasing group, but the group is still not chasing hard, and Guerra now still 5 seconds clear. Interesting move, Gillian, to go off the front here just over halfway through this race. Deliberate tactic, do you think?
I'm not sure. I want to say yes, because knowing the Riot team, they're a very smart group of racers. I could really see them, asking Guerra to go out on the front so that they can, drag some of the talent out from this peloton that is ultimately now catching her. But just kind of getting some energy out of the legs so that these segments can kind of ultimately become easier for the rest of the group. And it does look like Guerra has at least 3 other teammates in there. So I would be very surprised if it was not a deliberate tactic, so that maybe they can get the peloton thinking about, okay, this is the racer we want to go after, but then they have a racer in their back pocket who is ultimately gonna sneak in and take more points above Guerra.
Well, she's continuing to push, and she's continuing to work hard, because this is the Clyde kicker. These rests between these two efforts very, very small. Tidholm, May, Harper, Bullock, Hansen, Collins, Augustin are all in here with Russell, and of course Guerra, who we saw in the shot just there with a fueling strategy going on. Very, very clear, very, very important, your nutrition and your fueling, as well as the motivation from those around you, whether that is your team on Discord in your ears, whether you've got a DS in your ears as well. Just looking at the number of the Aeonian squad in that leading pack, actually at the moment, that is real strength and depth in that team as Guerra comes up and through. The Queen Bee jersey on the back of Holcroft from Next, powered by Insured, still in that leading group, but that leading group now, it is whittling its way down, and it is much smaller now. That is the Aeonian race team, one of the largest race teams in the Tour de Boudicca competition. 23 riders started out on the start sheets from the Aeonian squad across all 4 categories. Only the Aeonian team and Team ESRT who had riders in all 4 categories and teams in all 4 categories. Synergy, the next largest team in the competition, with 22 riders on the start sheets. Galaxy with 21. So some big teams out there.
Riders are going to zip through this chicane really quickly, which is going to kind of mess up some of the drafting dynamics. And then it's a kind of a punch. I believe it's up to 7% maybe before they round this corner. And then less than it's about 300 meters until that champion sprint again.
And for me, this is a really interesting punch for me. And when we get towards the latter stages of this race, and we've got 10 kilometres to go to the finish, as you can see there, a big kick coming off the front from Anna Russell. So she's utilised that small Kicker to come off the front of the group and continue to push. She's pushing now for a gap into the sprint segment. She's going to want these maximum 25 points. So Russell really working. Collins is the rider working behind. Hansen is there as well. Team Castelli in the mix, but they are 2 seconds back on Anna Russell. So Anna Russell is going to pick up those points on this lap. Now, I was going to say that kicker absolutely crucial, not just to allow you to pick up the points like Russell has there, but in terms of picking up the win overall. Now, 25 points for the champion sprint each lap, other than the finish line, because on the 11th time through the champion sprint, that is the finish line, and the finish line points 50 points to the winner. So that kicker for me, Gillian, absolutely crucial on that final lap, because that for me is a potential breakaway point.
It absolutely is a breakaway point, and I think the riders who are going to utilize that might be testing it out. So I would be interesting to see if, maybe Anna Russell goes there again on the final lap. I definitely think hindsight now that having Guerra go off the front was a little bit of a team tactic, because I'm sure that the peloton was thinking that Guerra was going to go off the front, but instead it was Russell this time.
Well, it is interesting, isn't it? The difference in tactics and the different way these races are playing out across the 4 categories, because this is the B category and it's still a large group on the front here as well, as the fire lights up under the wheels of our riders. Neelan is there, Ernst is there, Cuthbertson is pushing them. The orange numbers are coming out of the level rider, really trying to move through. That is a first across the line points there, and Cuthbertson, Strausser from Crush Pod, the Crush Pod team in this category B race, really working hard along with Wahoo Lacole. They really had a lot of riders up there overnight. Those 2 teams really were the top 2 teams on form yesterday. Interesting to see whether they stay the teams to beat today, but taking a look at the riders in there, Ernst from Crush Pod is in there with teammates at the moment, so Strausser in there as well. I am expecting strong things from those riders in this category B race, but we will have to wait and see till after the race today to see how many points those riders pick up. But Electric Spirit are also on the move and in the mix. You can see there Clara Lagrosse, she was indeed our leader overnight from Electric Spirit. She's in that Queen Bee jersey, and taking a look at some of the information I have on Clara, do you know she only started cycling a year ago?
That's hard to believe considering how well she's done.
Yeah, well, I think she is absolutely the rider to beat here today. She's in the pack and she's moving strongly. She is the leader overnight. She's working hard. She's got her headphones on. Now, that is a hard-working rider from the look on her face at the moment. But she's got to be one happy rider with that standing overall overnight. And I'll tell you something, if this is what she can do within a year of getting on her bike, goodness knows what we're going to be seeing from her next year. I am expecting progression to A-Cat by the way she is riding and racing. Well, she's going again. You know, this is the Clyde kicker, and I can see her currently in 3rd place in that pack moving on. But it's Ernst from Crush Pod. In fact, it's 2 Crush Pod riders at the front there. They are both working. It's Strasser who is pushing on through that Crush Pod team, absolutely hammering it at the moment in this B category. Lagrosse from Electric Spirit wanting to keep up in that points tally. She wants to keep hold of that Queen Bee jersey. Neelan there coming through as well. So these riders now all coming back together again. Now, regularly we are seeing riders drop off after each segment on each lap. We are now 23 kilometres into this 30-kilometre race. They've got to be starting now to think about what they are going to do in the finish, Gillian, to pick up that 50 points on the line.
It goes without saying that there's going to need to be a slow lap in my mind, I keep thinking, okay, the next lap is going to be slower, right? Because I remember, throughout all of the Zwift racing that I've done over the past few years, I just always remember there being a slow lap. But I haven't seen anything yet that would even hint at a slow lap. It's just big effort after big effort. Here in the C's, we've got riders, as they're tumbling into one another, they're moving towards the front, which can, almost put the pressure on the pack because they think, oh, is a rider gonna ride over the top? Are they gonna ride away from us? We can't let them, scoop up all of those points. So I'm curious to see if the riders end up having that, second to last lap, that third to last lap of, okay, let's settle. Anyone who is kind of a no-name at this point and they're going to go for the points, just let them go for the points. Those who really were after some of those early points, they got them. They might have, some of these teams might have earned, upwards of 100 points within the first 3 or 4 laps of this race. So I'm curious to see how the peloton behaves as the race progresses, if they get some rest.
Well, this leading group in the Category C race are about to catch a group of back markers, causing a little bit of confusion on this Clyde kicker at the moment. But Jackson is the rider from Coalition pushing through. White from Synergy is there, but Jackson is leading them through this time. Olsen is there as well. So is White, so is Rennie, so is Profumo. These riders pushing at the front of the pack as Jackson just continues to solidify those 25 points. White and Profumo in there. Olsen picking up the second place, 18 points as this pack now stretched to go through. This is still a very large group at the front of this Category C race, though not unexpected given the size of the field overall. Rogers is in here. Overmo is in here. She is the rider in that Queen Bee jersey. Now, I know she is a strong rider. She's a teammate of mine. I know she can ride and ride well. And she's always there or thereabout in the sprint races. This particular course should really suit her. The question is, can she hold on to that Queen Bee jersey for tomorrow? I think there's a lot of other women in this race who would like to take that jersey off her back because they want the points and they want to be leading this competition of the C category tomorrow into the D category, and this is looking really interesting. So Nordqvist, our rider here, with Michelle from Galaxy, with Rogans from Herd. Hanley Fish now 2 seconds back, and this is getting confusing now on screen because this leading group of 10 have caught a group of back markers and they are working their way through. And Michelle from Galaxy has taken the opportunity to push on here. They've still got 10 kilometers of racing to go, but that Category D group of 10 leading are now stretched across this field. So Michelle from Galaxy, Nordqvist is there as well. This is the Galaxy squad in front, and Michelle, well, look at that. She's a DS as well, so she knows what she's doing. And we've got two Michelles in the squad. Now, that is interesting when you are on Discord in a race. I'd love to know how they identify which one is which. Well, the Galaxy squad up and part and parcel of this group of 10 trying to come back together again at the moment, but it's looking like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 riders, and then we've got a number of back markers as these 10 laps really starts to motor. So Rogan's from Herd currently leading this out. 2 seconds back now to the chasing group, and the rest of that group, that rest of that leading group of 10, all now starting to reform, having passed those back markers as they come up and into this sprint. So this is the champion sprint. Rogan's from Herd leading this out. I think she is not going to be caught through this sprint, so Rogan's is going to pick up maximum points. Hanley Fish from the Aeonian squad, though, absolutely digging in and wanting second place in those points. Norquest from ESRT and Michelle from Galaxy picking up those points as well. In that D competition, that group of 10 are now all back together. Are they going to be all together in the last 10 kilometres of that race in the D category? In the A category, 2 kilometres to go, and it is Guerra out front. She's got 2 to 3 seconds on the chasing group. So Guerra, she showed us her colours earlier on, and she's gone out on the front again from the right squad. 28.2 kilometres now of this 30.2 kilometre course. She's got 2,000 metres to go. She's got 3 seconds on the bunch behind, but it's Celine Columbi from Team Castelli who's on the front of that group with Hansen. Now that is 2 riders I know who will not let Guerra go down the road if they've got anything to do with it. They are going to want to be on her wheel for the finish.
I'm really hopeful she stays away. However, if the group does catch her, I would not be surprised to see one of her teammates kind of immediately come over the top of her, come through the group over the top and then steal that finish from any one of the other teams in this peloton. However, if she does stay away, hats off to Guerra.
Too right, hats off to her, and she's getting a huge amount of encouragement down in that pain cave, and she's going to need it because that was the last time up the Clyde Kicker. They are going to do the run now into the champion sprint. She's got company, but she's alone on her bike at the moment as she swings around that left-hand corner onto the downhill. Guerra from the right squad is leading this category A race. Can she lead it all the way into the finish? She's got 5 seconds now. The gap is going out. The group looking at each other rather than chasing her. This could be it. She's got 1,000 metres to go. And look at the chase group. There it looks as though there is no concerted effort here. They are thinking about the points for their team on the line. But, well, the first to cross the line, it is 50 points for the winner, and then 1 point continues to drop for the top 50 in the race. Is that now what they are concerned about, and are they going to let Guerra go clear here? She is clear. She has got a left-hand corner to take. She comes through this chicane. She's going to kick up the climb, and then she's going to run into the finish. She's pushing on. This is the small rise before we get to the left-hand corners into that final sprint. And Guerra from the right squad, she's got 10 seconds now. 10 seconds, 11 seconds on the group. I don't think they can catch her. I think Gabby Guerra is going to take this all the way through to the line. There's a kick coming from behind. Columbi is there. Colin Smith. They are all in here. Holdcroft, the wearer of the Queen Bee jersey, moving towards the front of the group. But Gabby Guerra goes over the green line, indicating the final sprint. This is the run to the line. This is the effort for the finish as Guerra sees the banner. She's going to be the first rider in Category A. The winner goes to Gabby Guerra from the right squad in our Category A race today. Collins pushing hard from the Wahoo Lacole, going to take second from Tidholm. 3 up for 4th place there with Real, Harper and Penner. But all credit has got to go to that break from Guerra. From the squad, from the right squad, she was in 3rd place overnight coming into the competition with 25 minutes and 46 seconds on her GC. The A race is over, but the B race is still going on, and the B race, 1.2 kilometres to go in this B category race. Clara Lagrosse, who is in our Queen Bee jersey from Electric Spirit, she took 1 win yesterday. Can she take another today? She is adamant. We've seen her in her pain cave working hard, but Wendorf from the squad right up next to her, Gina from Herd marking her, as well as Neelan from Wahoo Lacole. These riders really not wanting to let her go. This is going to be a fast and furious finish because this group of B category riders are really starting to stretch now with the pace from Lagros on the front as she sits up, and they all come back together again.
I'm really hopeful that Lagros stays patient. I want to see her just wait, because this pack, she's not going to ride away from the pack at this point, but if she can have a little bit of patience, stay up towards the front of this group and go into this final sprint, maybe with a lead out, then I think she could very easily take the win. However, we are seeing that she's putting her nose out into the wind, not really utilizing any of the draft. So I'm wondering. Yep, and here we see a Wahoo Lacole rider coming right over the top. But she's not far behind.
Neelan from Wahoo Lacole. Neelan has gone. Neelan has kicked from Wahoo Lacole. Gina from Herd is there. Strausser from Crush Pod. But Lagros from Electric Spirit, the Queen Bee, is coming through the pack. I think she's going to take that by a tyre width. That is phenomenal timing. If she takes the win there, she came back into that pack. And Gillian, oh my goodness, I think she may have got that.
I think she may have gotten it too, just gotten it by the nose. What an exciting finish for the Bees.
I need to be less excited. That was absolutely a phenomenal finish. No, I don't need to be less excited at all. I love my bike racing. Well, the Category C riders now on the Clyde Kicker. This is the Clyde Kicker for the last time in Category C, and this is probably the biggest leading group on the road. White from Synergy. In fact, it's another Synergy rider coming up and over the top. So Power from Synergy, White from Synergy, both up and over in first and second. But we have Porter, Profumo, Overmo is there. The Queen Bee is up and in this pack in the C race as well. Can Layla Overmo from the Aeonian squad in that Queen Bee jersey do what Lagros just did for Electric Spirit in the B race? Can she win this race today, or will it be one of the other riders in this leading pack? Well, we are about to see, we are about to find out, because this Category B race are running now into the line. They've been up the Clyde Kicker for the last time, and it is Jackson from Coalition currently leading this group out. Ali from Crush Pod is in there, so is Hoffman, so is Rennie. These riders all piling towards the front of this group. They don't want to be out on the front, but they don't want to be too far back, do they, Gillian?
No, moving up towards the front, these riders, they're still going to get the benefit of the draft, but they're not going to have so many riders to move through when it comes to making a move up the front. If someone from this peloton, as we see Porter doing, she's making a move to close that gap, get in there, maybe even overtake these two riders it almost looks like she's going to go for her finish starting at this little pick up this 7% entry as we round this one of the final corners into the sprint. Definitely don't want to be in the back because you have so many more numbers to move through.
And we said this earlier on, didn't we? We said there may well come an attack at that little kicker, and Porter, Brown and Nightingale trying to go away here. In fact, Porter and Nightingale on the same squad, as Brown is the one who opens up the sprint first, but Nightingale now coming up and over. They are side by side on the run into this, but it's going to be teammates Nightingale and Porter side by side. It's not going to matter for the team who takes the win, but Porter comes through from Nightingale, from Spencer, from Brown. Overmo is in there. I think our Queen Bee finishing in at about 6th position in that sprint. So well and truly in the points there for her team. Will she hold on to that jersey overnight? Only time will tell. Well, this is the D competition. They are the only race left out on the course.
These riders are just entering that final, it's not really a straightaway because it has this little chicane in the middle of it. But they still have, Emma, correct me if I'm wrong, but they still have one more lap to do. This is not going to be their finishing sprint.
No, it's not. You're right. Indeed, they have another full lap to race once they get to the champion sprint this time. So this will be the last champion sprint where they will pick up sprint points. The next time round will be the finish line. So one full lap still to go once these riders get through the champion sprint this time. This has been a pack of 10 riders for a long time now, Gillian. What would you do if you were in the midst of this group?
That is the $1 million question. Part of me would say, let's be smart. Let's sit in the back, or in the middle of the group, get some rest in before that final sprint. But then on the flip side, the other part of me would say, let's be reckless. Let's just go right off the front and see if we can make it stick. Because that's what makes racing exciting. Everybody can race pretty conservatively and always come in, within their, underneath their heart rate goals, under their watt goals. But, it makes the race really exciting when we see these riders go off and just try something. It might not work, but it might stick.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Does fortune favour the brave? Does fortune favour the brave rider? Does the rider who put the attack in now stay clear in this last lap? Or will they continue to look at each other, and these 10 riders look at each other all the way into the finish? Now they are coming up and through. It is, look at that. Hanley Fish is doing the market, isn't she? Coming to the front of that group, but the Vixen rider, Ollendorf, is the rider out front leading the pack at the moment. They are about to come on to a couple of back markers, and they will be seeing back markers on this final lap as they continue to race as a pack. Now let's just try and do a quick check and see who's actually in this group. So we have Nordquest, we have Michelle, we have Tinkermud from Herd, we have Ollendorf, we have Rogans, we have Walker, Evie from Galaxy, Fish from Aeonian. These are the riders in this leading group in the D race. This is the last race out on the course. These are going to be our last riders to finish. They were our last riders out of the start pen today, 3 minutes after our A category riders left that pen. Ollendorf really seeming to want to stay at the front of this pack at the moment. Michelle from Galaxy, well, she is keeping close eye on her competitors, but the riders all really steady here as they come into the Clyde kicker for the last time, and Rogans has gone for this. This is fastest through the segment, and Rogans wants this last set of 25 points for the Herd squad. Carmen Rogans pushing hard. She's out front, but the chase is on from behind because Michelle from Galaxy, well, she is coming through fast as Rogans digs again. Rogans has dug in on that steep section. This is 9% at the moment, but Michelle from Galaxy is coming. She might be coming up onto Rogans' wheel, but will Rogans set the fastest time through this section? Well, she goes under that banner first.
She does end up with FTS points because she did put in a substantial effort, so she was already moving the fastest through that segment as it started. But as you see the riders kind of come up toward the bottom of the screen as we're following the riders up that kicker, it's hard to tell how fast they came in because they're already moving fast enough to almost catch those riders on the kicker.
Well, it's Michelle Orme from Galaxy at the moment who is pushing on here. Orme, the rider, we can see on our screen, she has gone off the top of the Clyde kicker and she's continued to work. Nordquest now 2 seconds back with the rest of that group, the leading group now. We said fortune favours the brave. Will fortune favour Orme from Galaxy because she is the rider pushing on here. She's motoring up this kicker now. The gap 2 seconds back to the chasing group, and she's got 800 meters to go. So Nordquist now in 2. She's doing the chasing with Rogans from Herd, but it's Orm from Galaxy still staying out front. So Nordquist, Rogans, Fish, Walker, they are the riders chasing, and the rider they are chasing is Michelle Orm from Galaxy. As Fish from the Ionian squad comes up, she comes up to Nordquist and Rogans, and she goes over the top, but she doesn't seem to go into pursuit of Rogans. Rogans still out the front. She's still holding that 2 to 3 seconds. Is this going to be enough as Fish kicks into the bottom of this kicker? We said it kicks to 7%, and it's a perfect attack point that we have seen used in the other races. It is just 300 meters from that finish point as Michelle Orm comes around that corner. 3 riders in the chase. In fact, it's now 2 riders in the chase because Nordquist and Fish have dropped Rogans. There's now a gap back as she pushes to get back onto that group. So swinging into that final corner, Rogans is the rider in 1. She's about to cross the green dotted line, indicating the sprint run into the finish line. Can she take that 50 points for the Galaxy team? I think she can. The chase is coming on from behind for second position, but Michelle Orm from Galaxy is going to take the win in the Category D race. She's going to pick up that 50 points for her team as Nordquist takes the sprint there in second. Third and fourth, Walker coming through for 5th place. Tinkermud from the Herd team coming through for 6th. Evie from Galaxy in the mix for 7th. Wow. Gillian, phenomenal racing we have seen from our riders today in Glasgow.
Could not agree more. Some very exciting happenings out on course, not only in the finish, but also throughout the entire race. Because of those fastest through points and those FAL points available, you know, we saw the riders testing out some of their final sprints, and then we saw, you know, some of those getaway moves on that last lap across all the categories.
I just loved the fact that we saw a brave rider in Michelle Orm come off the front of that group of 10, which had been away in that D race for more than half of the race distance. Absolutely perfect timing for her. She completely deserved that win. So really, really pleased to see that for her today. Well, let's take a look at the results, shall we? So Gabby Guerra taking the win in 43 minutes 11 seconds in that A category race today. Great riding from her. That 7.8 second gap back to Collins going to do her really well in that overall individual standings. Tidholm in 3rd, Real in 4th, Tiffany V in 5th, Harper in 6th, Aitken from Synergy in 7th. Holdcroft, who was our Queen Bee in the A category, will she hold on to that jersey tomorrow, coming through in 8th. Russell in 9th and Augustin in 10th in category A on stage 2 of the Tour de Boudicca today. Well, that's category A results. We're going to work our way through the category B results now. Well, 2 minutes 22 seconds back on the winning time of Guerra in category A. Now for me, that's a phenomenal statement for these category B riders to start with, but it was indeed Clara Lagrosse from Electric Spirit, our Queen Bee, who took the win today from Strasser, from Van, from Sorojan, from Cuthbertson, Neelan, Pereso, Ernst, Neeson and McKay rounding out the top 10, but take a look how close that was. Just 1 second separating the top 10. That individual competition in the B category is going to remain really close overnight. The C category results are going to be up next. Well, Emma Porter taking the win at 5 minutes 27 seconds behind Guerra's winning time of 43.11. It was indeed Sophie Brown Spencer from Herd Overmo, our Queen Bee, coming through in 5th place. Glendening from Herd Squad in 6th. Karen, Rennie, East and Olsen rounding out the top 10. And again, another fast and furious race, and a big pack leading that Category C race through to that sprint. 2 seconds separating that top 10. Yet again, that is going to be really tight on that individual competition. And finally, our Category D results. We've just watched a brave move go off the front from Michelle Orme. She was awarded with that win, 12 minutes 20 down on Guerra's time. Nordvist coming through in second with the same time as Rogans and Fish. That was a 3-up sprint for second place. Walker, Ollendorf, Tinkermud, From Herd, Eddie V, Taylor and Wilson rounding out the top 10. But look at the time gaps. That was a leading group of 10, and the time gap much bigger. 14 seconds separating that top 10. So that is our results from the categories today. Gillian, what would be the highlight for you?
I would have to say Guerra going off the front. I'm always a fan of riders who are willing to take that chance, and I have to applaud them when it sticks.
Well, it did stick for Guerra, didn't it, in the A category, for Orme in the D category. Tune favours the brave. Well, it really did today. Now, tomorrow, it's going to be so interesting to see overnight what the race today has done to those overall individual standings, but also to the team competition. You can head over to Zwift Power to pick up those race results later, and you'll see the points as well awarded during that Clyde Kicker and the Champion Sprint on there as well. We will, of course, give you a review of all of those results first thing on the show tomorrow. You need to join us because it's the Queen stage tomorrow. It's the final stage. It's stage 3. We are heading to Legends and Lavas in Watopia. We have 2 climbs for you on stage 3. The reverse of Titan's Grove and then the Volcano climb to decide the winners, the team competition and the individual competition on the team tour of Boudicca. Gillian and I, we are going to be here. You need to be here too. We will see you then. From everybody behind the scenes, from Gillian and I, from all those riders, I hope you have a good deal of rest and recovery tonight. Look after yourselves. Stay safe. We want to see you race hard tomorrow. Goodbye.
Goodbye.